I was looking for some music to put in the background of the unboxing, and I just happened upon this track, and I was like, "Oh, this is a good one," and I put it, I used it while I was editing and made it work. But then, as does happen every once in a while, just some kind of rap lines came to my head while I was listening to the music.
All right, hello and welcome to episode 35 of the Too Hard to Pass podcast. I don't know if you heard that, but I am your co-host Juan Martinez, and to my left or to my right, it's the dulcet tones of Jacques Slade.
Yeah, welcome everybody to the podcast.
All righty,
that's my deep band voice. Yeah, my movie trailer voice. In a world. Podcast. Yeah. Good stuff. What's up, man? How you doing, man?
Have you ever thought about doing voice work? You do have a good voice. I'm not just saying that because, we are buddies and we're homies and everything. But have you ever thought about actually doing voice work?
I mean, I did an eBay commercial. I did the voiceover for
what I
an
meant
eBay
is
commercial.
like voice acting, like in a cartoon or that kind of stuff.
Oh, I would love that. I haven't thought about it. I mean, I said, yes, I've thought about it, but I haven't pursued it. I would love that. I think that would be cool. That would be insane.
Yeah, I mean, just that intro, I was like, oh, okay. All right, I tried it with I did a little bit of it with Tyree when he was doing Sneds. Oh, right. Shout out to a couple friend of the program, Ree. We need to get him on the show at some point, man. Talk about what he's up to. I mean, he's got a feature film on the way. I mean, I am super pumped for that. So awesome. So definitely looking forward to that. But I mean, that's something you should definitely look into, man. I would love to hear Jacques on an anime or something. Be like,
that would be sick. I will avenge my father. No.
I like how that's the first thing you went to, because that's basically the plot of most action animes. I will avenge mother/father/brother, sister, family, wife, best friend, and then just go on a murderous spree all across ancient Japan, future Japan, current Japan, that kind of thing.
Yep. Those are the vibes. Those
are the vibes. Yes. I would definitely be down to watch that on Adult Swim or Crunchyroll or whatever. But speaking of your voice, Jacques, I want to talk about, then this is the start of the show, a post that you put up on Instagram the previous night or something like that, because I was working on part of the scripts of the show, and as sometimes it happens, I go to bed at 2 a.m. or something.
But
I check my phone and I'm just scrolling through whatever, and then I see you on there dropping bars, and I'm like, oh, KU's back. KU back in the building. And I was like, back in the building. But the thing that got me was the background music. I was like, what are we trying to do here? It was very smooth. Just like the setting was you weren't necessarily going for back in the old days of KU or Lil Nutsack, it's just a little bit harder. This was more I'm at a club, and it's the very smooth jazz, people are doing that kind of thing, slam poetry a little bit,
funny,
that kind of bit. And I was enthralled. I was very
pulled you in. That's good.
Pulled you in. Yes. I was like, man,
good. That's good to hear.
Whoa, look at Jacques go here, and I'm like, I'm looking at it right now, and I'm like, I've got lines in my mind to show how far I've climbed.
All right,
I've structured the design, so all right. Man,
I was unboxing. I'll tell you the whole story. So I was unboxing. So Mountain Dew sent me a golf bag.
I will try to splice in a bits of this on the show, so hopefully it'll work. But
so
yes,
people
I'll try
can
to
see
splice
what
it
we're talking.
Yeah. I've got lines in my mind to show you how far I've climbed, and I've structured the design so that it all feels intertwined. The crimes being committed in plain sight, like how they search us in a world where less used than the next man can make you feel worthless. That's why it's worth us to purchase our souls back. Your timeline can't define your life's track. Y'all heard that a million times, but we stay scrolling, letting strangers we don't know control our emotions. So I'm hoping this moment of peace can help you feel elite, and I'm reaching your soul with the words I speak, because life's hard enough as it is.
And it's just part, I guess, part of being a musician in my earlier years. Like a rap line will
Right.
come to me, and I'll, and so I was like, oh, that's a cool line that I kind of had in my head, and so I ended up writing. I don't even think it's 8 bars. It's probably like 6 bars or 7 bars or something like that. It's not even like a full verse or anything like that.
Oh, no.
But I just wrote something. I just continued the thought pattern really, and just continued writing. And then I was like, you know what? I should record it. I didn't even actually record it in like a real program. I just did it in Final Cut. Like I did it in the same session. And then I was like, all right, since we recorded it, I was like, oh, it sounds pretty good. I was like, let's shoot something to it. And there's this guy, I can't think of his name. I got to find him on IG. This is why I hate that you don't have a history on IG of what you've seen.
Right.
But he does like these like impromptu, they feel like impromptu music videos where he's in like these random scenes and he's rapping a verse. And I was like, oh, I'll just do that at my desk. And so I just shot it at my desk, and yeah, and I put it on Instagram. It was well received. I didn't expect, honestly, I didn't know how people would receive it, just because it's such a, it's not necessarily something they know me for, or they see a lot on my timeline or my feed. So I didn't know what the responses would be, but it seemed, everything seemed relatively positive, and people seemed to enjoy it. So there's always, always positives in pushing out your art, and just not being afraid to make the art. And that's really what it was. It was just a moment of, hey, I have this creative idea. Let's do it. Get it out there. Whether people like it or not, just get the energy out. And, now it's done, and it'll live forever on the interwebs.
Yes. So how often do you say like you come up with something and you actually put it out there? Oh, well, no, you record it, but you never actually hit send. How often does that happen for you?
Oh, so I don't record it very often.
Okay.
Oftentimes I just treat it as like a fleeting moment. Like I'll be listening to some music, and I'll get some lyrics in my head, and I may freestyle for, a few minutes, and then like that'll be the end of it. It's very rare that I actually record it. But doing this made me think, I was like, I should probably document this stuff a little bit more, so I can go back and listen to it later on, to see, just to see where I was at that time, or what I was thinking, or
Right.
what my, where my mind was, or what was going on in the world. Because a lot of times that's where it sparked from, kind of like what's going on in the world, and like that's kind of controlling my emotional state at the moment, and that's usually what things end up being about. So it could be as random as the tariffs, or it could be, the war in Gaza, or, Taiwan and China trying to take over Taiwan and Hong Kong, or whatever. It could just be anything. It really just kind of depends on what's going on in the world, and where I am, where my head is.
So what we're trying to say here, people, is that Jacques Slade, he has multitudes. He's not just your sneaker guy. He's not just your golf guy. Actually, he's not just your golf guy who errantly hit a shot into the water, as you recently blew up on the internets a couple of days ago, which I get was brilliantly shot. I mean, of course, you don't plan for these things. But it just was, for people who do not know, Jacques went viral a couple of days ago for a post reel that he put up on IG, where he was on the what is this, like a par 3 on a golf course.
It was the 17th hole, par 3, 17th hole. They have a water hole that's very much like almost like Players kind of. And I hit it.
I know, because kind of Players Championship kind of yeah. And I mean, the beginning started out well. You had Bill Withers in the background. I'm like, oh, I love that song. I love that song. I love Lovely Day. It's a great song. Yeah. And then like I really thought, you had me for a second there. I thought it was going to be a great shot. It was going to be really close to the pin. And then, like you've told me, you thought the shot was good. The hit, it was a solid hit. Contact was made.
Yeah, it was a solid strike, man.
And then, unfortunately, things started to go right.
Yeah. They went left, but it went right. Yeah.
Yes.
Things went left, but it went right. Yeah.
You're like,
it went
nope,
to the water.
That is
not my finest golfing moment, to be fair.
But it did go viral. You got like 1 million something views on it now, and you are now golf hit to the pond guy, because the reality is that there's a lot of golf, like there's been an explosion of golf content out there in the world, right?
Yes.
Like on socials, on YouTubes and everything. Obviously the PGA and even Live are trying to get on board to like catch that wave. But the reality is a lot of that content is highly edited. Like a lot is very curated. It's very much like presenting golf as like this, I'm not gonna say easy, but it is kind of showing golf in the light of like, oh, anybody can do it, or like, and which anybody can do golf, but you also have to be like, yeah, man, golf's hard though. Like it's not, it's tough. Like anybody can play golf, but it is not a sport for the people who are not patient. We're kind of like in the microwave generation, right? We're like, we need something, we need demand immediate success, immediate, whatever. Now, golf's not that. And you've been chronicling this, right? Like through your various posts and everything. Golf's hard, man. And, that's just another example of that, is like when people see your successes and your failures and I just think it's very cool that you are open enough and willing enough to show the world that, hey, man, like golf, great game, beautiful game, but man, it can it can break you every once in a while. You think things are going well.
Can absolutely break you. Like I'm in actually good. I feel like I'm in a good place with my game right now. And like I'm terrified. I'm absolutely terrified, because it's like, all right, does this mean I finally hit that point of, all right, the game's about to change, like it's about to get good, or is this one of those like brief moments where it's like, oh, it's going to be great for 2 weeks and then it's going to be terrible again, like that. That's like that. So I'm actually a bit scared right now, because I just don't know where this is going to go.
I mean, as somebody who has, I'll be honest, I haven't reached the heights that you have necessarily, like, golfing wise and everything. I would just cherish these moments. Like, I mean, terrified, I guess it'd be fair to be terrified, because you never know, like you could hit a slump or something like that. But if you feel like you're really feeling good about your game now, like just cherish that moment, because, it could change any other time. Like, I think for me, it's more about like appreciating the good shots and like and capturing it and like, really internalizing it and knowing that, it is possible. So for those days when it's bad, you can be like, yeah, but I was here before. Like I can get back there, that kind of thing. I feel like that's maybe the way you could kind of look at it. Again, we're not therapists. You shouldn't take our advice or anything like that to heart. We're just speaking from like experience as like terrible amateur golfers who, haven't done anything in our lives. But yeah, no, I mean, just kind of take that good and like, really cherish it and enjoy it and be like, yeah, I had that moment. Cause for those days when it's like, oh man, I had a rough day at the course, at the range or something like that. You can always think back to those times and be like, oh, it is doable. It is possible. I can get back to that. So yeah, I mean, that's how I would interpret it. That's how I would take it.
Yeah, I'm gonna put something on social about this. Now that you mentioned it, I'm gonna put something. I'm gonna ask and see what the golf community says about it.
Right. And now they're gonna be like, hey, you're that guy.
You're the hit the ball in the water guy. Hey,
yeah, you're the hit the ball in the water guy. You're like, yeah, no, I've done that too. I just don't post it for everybody to see.
You should. Gotta document the journey. Gotta document the journey.
Yeah. It's kind of like, I mean, you're documenting your golf journey, so you should also be, documenting your, I don't know what you would call this era of you with rap and everything, but like your like deep dulcet tones.
My dulcet tone rap journey.
Yeah.
I've got lines in my mind. Yeah.
How's it going? Yeah. It's gonna be all right.
It wasn't that bad. All right.
It was good though. I'm doing a bad job of to showing the audience that how good it was. But yeah, no.
Thank you. Well, thank you. I'm glad that you appreciated and you.
I did appreciate it. I did notice though that you posted it at like midnight or something, and I was like, go to sleep, man.
Yeah, I was. You know what? I was up, and like I did it earlier that day. And
okay. It wasn't like you did that then. Okay.
No, I didn't do it right at that moment. I was up earlier I did it earlier that day, but I never did the captions, and I had been thinking about whether or not I was going to post it. And I was like, let me at least add captions so people can understand what I'm saying, because like it's a really unprofessional recording. Like, to be fair, like it wasn't mixed well, and all those things that you usually do for something like that.
Sure.
Like my lip syncing is off because I recorded like a lip sync to it, and just
Oh, okay.
it was just it was very fly by night kind of operation happening over here. And so I just left the captions that evening. I put the captions on late that evening before I went to bed, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna post it and go to bed. If people like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. Like I got it out, which is the most important part of this whole thing.
Yeah. Like everybody, Jacques Slade, he's got multitudes. It's not just sneakers. It's not just golf.
Wow.
He's also a little nutsack.
Also,
his,
I'm also a little nutsack. Yeah. Oh, what a day. What a day.
The little nutsack era is back, people. What are we talking about?
Yeah, he's back.
Anyways,
back.
I think we could use a little bit more dulcet tones, Jacques, because I'm not gonna say I need calming down, but I definitely do need something to like help ease the pain because our 17-time world champion and one-time NBA Cup champion Los Angeles Lakers have been unceremoniously been eliminated by the playoffs by the Kingslayer Anthony Edwards. Did you see the clip of him like walking back to the hotel? And he was just talking that. So like after the game, he was walking back to, I guess it was the Marriott or the W or whatever. Basically one of those hotels near like, the crypto staples.
Yeah.
But he was just talking that smack. Everyone's talking about Lakers in 5. And then when the Wolves were up by 3-1, they were like Lakers in 7. And like, Ant was just like talking that smack to everybody. And then like, he was talking about like, why y'all cheering me for? Like, I eliminated your guy. It's like, he was just talking that stuff. And I was like, first of all, he's just walking back to the hotel. And I'm like, I love that. That. Yeah, I love the energy. But at the same time, like, damn, can't believe we went out like in the first round.
Yeah, man.
It's just a bummer, man. But it definitely. Okay,
I thought we would at least make it to the conference finals or something. Not the first round. That one, that stung. Like yesterday, I was at the range hitting some balls, and one of my buddies was like, "Oh, the Laker game comes on tonight," and at that point, I've already lost hope, and so I was like. Yeah. I gotta go home and be disappointed too. I get it. Like it's just what a day. Tough one. It's a tough one. I did not expect to go out so fast. But you know what? It gives them time to, they just started gelling. They're not firing all cylinders.
Mid-season trade. I mean, when you get a star of that caliber, it does take some time to adjust. At the same time, it felt like there was enough time to like kind of get things ready for like a decent playoff run, not a first round exit. But also this round kind of exposed the team and kind of showed what they need. They need defense. They need rebounding.
Yeah.
I mean, JJ didn't play Jackson Hayes for reasons, but I'm guessing there's a reason. It's probably not good enough to like, get in the way of Rudy Gobert and, Julius Randle. And the defense, oh my goodness, like Luka was like, just, here you go. Just walk on through, just walk on by. And I'm like, man. And that's why it worked so well last year. And last season in Dallas, because they had those bigs in the middle to kind of like, to make up for Luka's deficiencies on defense. So, I mean, the silver lining is that this can hopefully kind of highlight explicitly what is needed.
What we
by
need
the Lakers for next season. Yeah, it's not just like, because it would be tough if it was like they did make the conference finals and everyone's like, by the skin of their teeth and not like dominating or anything like that. And then the assumption is like, oh, we're good enough. We don't necessarily, we just have to like, get pieces here and there, but not like drastically overhaul the team. I feel like with this kind of elimination, it's like, okay, there need to be changes. There are definitely definite things, and it was exposed for what it was. So we definitely need like Anthony Davis back somehow without giving up Luka.
Or we can get Anthony Davis back. That's I don't know how that works, but basketball reasons is not going to allow that to happen.
No, that's not going to happen. So on the show, I helped come up with proposed a couple of fake trades that
Yeah.
could. And then here's the thing. I went on the Sport Track trade machine and I tried to make it work. It wasn't just like I just entered a bunch of names and, put them together and just like, boom, that's how that works. It's not like a 2K trade where you could just like press override and then like, boom, you got your guys. No,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like, put together like and made sure the salaries match up and everything. So I kind of, and we did the bit on the show, kind of like highlighting how like delusional we can be as like Laker fans. But I kind of want to get from you, for your take on like, would you give up all of basically the trade was everybody, Austin Reeves, Dorian Finney-Smith, basically everybody, Dalton Connect, everybody except LeBron and Luka, but we get Giannis. How would you feel about that? And basically also giving up virtually every draft capital until like 2050.
Yeah, I'm not good with that. Like I want Giannis and I want us to get it together, but I can't we can't leverage so much of the future. Like, especially not, I would say not until we find out what's officially happening with Luka and the Lakers. Like before we
right, he has
anything,
a player option until a player option for 26, 27. So yeah.
So we've got to really see what that's going to look like before we start leveraging our future around him.
Mm-hmm.
Like that if he holds that player option and we nuke the team in order to put the pieces around him, and then he decides, yeah, you know what, I'm going back to Dallas, fam. Like that I can't deal with that.
But we got Giannis though. But then that would just leave us with one, then that's not good enough, especially in the West. Yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that LeBron's not going to be there. So, I shouldn't say LeBron's not going to be there. I mean, the assumption is that, LeBron is only here for, maybe one, maybe two more seasons, maybe two more seasons.
Maybe two.
I think. I mean, it's like I say that because of how long he's been in the league, but he's still playing at such an elite level. Like,
but he looked gassed, man. He also looked gassed yesterday. So,
Yeah.
I feel like we are definitely like in the final days of LeBron's career. So wouldn't be surprised if he just announced sometime in the summer or like, just before the next season starts that this is it. This is it, fam. I want my retirement tour. I want I want the gifts. I want everything. I want all that stuff. So I wouldn't be shocked if, he now said, the last run is next season. Or the 24th. So it's either season 23 or season 24, just realistically. Like, he, out of anybody, he's managed to like hold off Father Time. But I feel like this is it. We are pretty close to washed LeBron era. Like, but that's just reality. That's just, we are just slowly getting there. And that's why Luka, I'm not going to be one of those, like, he needs to get in shape. Because I feel like, he is who he is. Like, he is, he does need to get in better shape, but like
he needs to get in shape.
Yeah,
he definitely needs to get in shape just for the long. Not even like as from a Laker fan perspective, like just period. Like it's going to make him play better. I feel like he'll be a better player all around, just better, regardless of where he is. Yeah,
but I don't think he's going to be shamed into it. I think it's going to have to come from within. Like I don't think it's going to be like because I guess he's been hearing it from Dallas. So and now that he's in LA and the pressure is going to be like tenfold. Like he's going to hear that pressure, but ultimately it's going to be on him to like do that. So
yeah.
It's going to be up to him to like, and I don't think LeBron, any subtweet from LeBron is going to get Luka into shape. I don't think that's going to work, especially now. I don't think that's going to work.
But, I think LeBron could, show him the way.
Sure.
Like, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Being next to LeBron, it gives him a different perspective on like what it can do for you by taking care of yourself. So I think there is a benefit to him being around LeBron. Maybe hopefully that rubs off on Luka.
Yeah. Well, this summer is going to be very critical to that. If we're talking about LeBron, either this being his this coming season being the last or the year after that. So this next summer is going to be super critical to that. To how much influence LeBron could possibly have on Luka, who is his own kind of generational talent and is kind of set in his ways. So yeah, I'm just gonna be curious to see how that goes. But
I would imagine LeBron will go to 25 just to make it an even number.
That would be funny. To like get to 25. But Now that there was the other trade that we talked about where it was like Zion going to Milwaukee and all that stuff, which is fine, whatever. That's kind of like just a slight alteration of the first trade. But the last trade that I came up with was just 2K level madness, and it worked. The thing is as wild as it was, it actually worked on Sport Track, which is allegedly, I've looked it up on the internet, is actually the most accurate trade machine like on there, because the ESPN one has been kind of broken for a couple of years. So this one actually makes sense. Again, everybody goes to wherever they end up going, whether it's New Orleans or Milwaukee. But we give up LeBron and Bronny, send them to Phoenix. We get KD and Giannis. So it's KD, Giannis, and Luka. And LeBron gets to, retire comfortably in Arizona.
Yeah. Comfortably, yeah. Spend his life
And with
in Arizona.
Zion, So it's like Zion, LeBron, Bronny, and Booker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, and I think we mentioned on the show, it's a bad move for Milwaukee, but I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, Milwaukee gets nothing out of that.
It gets nothing out of that. It's just, what are we doing
They get some draft picks, I guess.
They get Bradley Beal. It's like, who freaking cares?
Yeah, if I guess, but I guess the way to think about it is if Giannis is going to leave, then they're going to have to rebuild anyway.
Yeah.
Unless they get a KD or they I don't even know who else they could get, unless they get Joker or they've got to rebuild. They've got to do something.
So we need to make fake trades to bring Joker to LA too. That'd be funny.
Yeah. They got to do something to make it work. And it's gonna be tough. It's a big year for Giannis. We'll see what happens.
Yep. Well, they're up 3-2 as of this recording. They are up 3-2 against the Clippers, when everybody thought the Clippers were going to kind of not necessarily steamroll through the Nuggets, but people kind of assumed that this was going to be finally the series where Kawhi stays healthy and breaks through. Harden's kind of playing at a good level. People kind of figured this was it, but then like the Nuggets, as of this recording, are 3-2, and it's like, oh dang, y'all must have forgot the Joker in the house. So
right, one of the best player in the league.
Yeah, exactly. So. But also at the same time, it's like if the Nuggets kind of keep going at this pace, it could also lead, it could also convince Joker to be like, hey, things are pretty good here. I don't have a desire to leave. It's more like, man, if the Clippers win, and it's going to be like, our Clipper fan friends are going to be like, ha. At the same time, but at the same time, it's like it makes the Nuggets lose, and they kind of think to themselves, Joker could maybe think to himself, maybe things aren't great here. I could demand a trade to LA.
That's possible. I feel like Joker's good in Denver. I feel like it's close to
it's tough.
Where's he from?
It would be tough. Huh?
Where's he from?
Serbia.
I feel like Denver cold winter could give him the taste of Serbia he needs.
He goes home
unless he goes to like Minnesota or Chicago or something like that.
Yeah.
Get that feeling. But Denver feels like the most like open, especially like he loves horses. Like Denver is like the perfect kind of place for.
He just
for
worked
him.
out.
Yeah.
I think he's fine there. I actually, realistic, I don't think he's leaving. Like, I feel like he seems like he's a dude who's like setting his ways and is more like, hey, let's see what happens here, more than, like the type of player who's like, I'm gonna bounce, it's tough, times get tough or something like that. But Giannis I felt like Giannis was the same way, but then things change. So we always thought like Giannis would be the type of dude who's like, through the good and the bad, he's gonna stay in Milwaukee. But he delivered a championship there. He there's a part of me that's like, that championship kind of unlocked him to be like, yeah, I'm good. I kind of did what I was supposed to do, and it's like, hey, thanks for the memories, guys. And LeBron, he kind of did it the other way. He left, came back, and then won the championship, and then So I feel like with smaller market teams, or just teams that are not the Lakers or that team that wears green, I feel like with other teams, it's like once you kind of deliver a championship to them, it's like you're golden. It's not like this expectation of like multiple, right? Like you get that one, and you're like, all right, thanks. Appreciate you. You can go do what you do, man. Like, I'm sure Giannis, if he decides to leave Milwaukee, I'm sure every time he comes back, it's gonna be like, thanks, man. Love you. It's gonna be love, right? It's not gonna be like the LeBron the first time leaving. LeBron came like ever since he won that championship. Every time he's come back, it seems like it's been all love. So
Yeah.
The same thing with Joker, right? He's delivered that championship. So, should he decide to bounce, I think it would all be love. So at the end of the day, it's like once you kind of fulfill that promise, you can kind of go do what you do, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I think at
Which
least
is cool.
at least Joker has that kind of in his back pocket at the end of the day. So
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, for sure.
all right, moving on. This one is it's a me kind of topic, Jacques.
A me kind of topic.
Yeah, like I feel like I need to make a public apology to one of the greats, one of the all-time legends, Reggie Miller. He was on the All the Smoke podcast with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, and they also have Vernon Maxwell now, which is I think a guaranteed plus. Vernon Maxwell is always good for like a story or 10. My God, that
10.
episode where, that story where he was talking about like Akeem Olajuwon slapping the S out of him was like the stuff of legend. I was like, woo, okay, Max, like you got stories. But Reggie was there and he kind of had a lot to say. Like he had a lot of things to say about like the brawl, the Malice at the Palace, his rivalry with Michael Jordan, the fight that he had with Kobe. And man, I was never like the biggest Reggie Miller fan. I used to think
you were very disrespectful to Reggie. Let's not
several
sugarcoat
times.
this.
Yeah, I mean, like not like on various articles on Kicks on Fire or like any other outlet. And sometimes I would throw in a jab in there on Hard Pass, kind of like diminishing his legacy and all that stuff. I think I even posted on socials that I think got like a friend of mine really mad at me. Like he doesn't deserve to be like one of the 75 greatest players of all time. I would like put Robert Horry. I think I said something to the effect of like Robert Horry deserves to be on there more than Reggie Miller.
I mean, wait, Robert Horry has six championships, right?
Seven.
Yeah,
seven.
There you go.
Shout out to friend of the family, Robert Horry, for that cameo from last year. But yes, I kind of made those kinds of jokes. But now that I've listened to this podcast, I think I've turned a corner on Reggie, man. Because like so like my thing with Reggie was like back then, like when they were going up against the Knicks, I was kind of rooting for the Knicks. I was like, finally Patrick Ewing could finally like have a chance at the championship because Michael Jordan just kept getting in the way. So I was like, MJ's retired doing baseball. Is like, oh, finally the Knicks can kind of do like sneak one in there, right? Like Patrick Ewing, the Oakley, Mace, Starks, and all those guys, right?
Yeah.
But then here comes this guy. Here comes Reggie Miller doing his thing with the choke to Spike Lee, the 9 points in 8 seconds, all that stuff. And I was like, dang, he's good, but also like, man, kind of ruined it for the Knicks, right?
For the Knicks.
And then through the years, and he was like a constant thorn on Jordan's side. And do you remember that shot that he pushed? Well, he clearly pushed MJ off, right? And made that 3-pointer, and he did like this little like spinny dance and everything. And I thought that was like a bit of a punk move, especially like when you see Larry Bird, right? Do you remember that? Like when Larry Bird was just like he just had this reaction of like stone face, like what the heck was the big deal about that? Sure, it was a game winner, but it's like, I'm Larry Bird. I do that all the time. Like, what are you doing? So it's those little things. And, they went up in the finals against Kobe and the Lakers. And then there was the following year where like him and Kobe got into a fight. That was just one of those random, like, wait, what? Reggie Miller and Kobe got into a fight? It's just.
So you have some deep-seated Reggie Miller
sports hate. It's like sports hate, sports hateration. Like I don't whatever. He comes up in person, I'd be like, yeah, that's Reggie Miller. But I wouldn't be like, screw that guy, right? It's more just like a character on TV. It's almost like a character on TV that you don't like. It's just like, man, I can't believe this guy's back again. But the final thing that was kind of like, that just kind of bugged me about Reggie was the brawl, the Malice at the Palace. I remember reading a Grantland like oral history about what happened that night. And there was like a very distinct line that kind of painted Reggie in a very negative light. Like he was, walking, like trying to get through the crowd to get back to like, the locker room and everything. And I think he was one of the people who was trying to keep like, Ron Artest, from like going even wilder than what he was, going to go. But, he kind of held Ron and everything, right? But then there was a line there that kind of said like, hey, man, don't ruin this suit, man. I'm wearing this like really expensive suit. And it kind of like, that's the thing you're thinking about while, you're potentially your teammate is in danger and you might be in danger. Like you're worried about your suit. like it made like, and I forget exactly who said that. So, but it kind of like, again, painted this really negative picture about Reggie. So all of these things kind of accumulated and just be like, sports hate Reggie Miller. But then I listened to this podcast and I'm like, oh, and like you could see like the emotion that he had when he was talking to Steven Jackson about like how he felt bad that he wasn't able to be like, the guy anymore during those last couple of years.
Yeah.
And how he kind of felt he let those guys down when it was the other way around. Like, Captain Jacque, Jermaine O'Neal, Ron, like they were the ones who felt bad for letting Reggie, like it was just this mutual feeling like they let each other down kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like Reg got real emotional. I'm like, oh man, I didn't know it was like that. So I was like, oh.
That's a tough thing. That's a tough thing. When I think about like pro athletes and, we don't see a lot of the stuff that happens behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But you have to think that guys that are that passionate about the game, that it takes an emotional toll on them to when they walk away from the game or when they're not able to do what they were previously able to do. Like you have to be really comfortable in yourself and who you are in order to like not let that affect you. And I think, basketball defined a lot of these guys. It was, it was the definition of who they were until it was time for them to retire. And they had to find something else. But when you're still on that court, you see yourself as the man. And I think that's kind of what I took from that. When I saw him like tearing up and being like, man, like you could tell like he wanted not only for himself, but he wanted it for his team. Like that's that whole teamwork and the selfless acts that these players give in order to make sure the team succeeds. You could see that just kind of in his face and in his words, which is pretty dope. You know what I mean? It shows how passionate and how much they care about it, regardless of how much the media or these pundits or whoever it is say they don't care. You never know what's going on in the background and how much they actually care or really want things to turn around in their sport.
Yeah, and speaking of caring, he still kind of holds a grudge to Michael Jordan. Like all of these years later, like he is like, it feels like it's on site with MJ. Like he told that story about like them being at the, the 75 where like, Jordan wasn't there for like the whole ceremony. He was just there for like the finale or something like that. Yeah. And like there's that clip, right, of MJ talking to Magic about like, hey, we should go one-on-one right now. Like I'll bust your ass right now. Something like that, something to that effect, right? And all these legends like Gary Payton and like, I think like Steph and James Harden are in there too. And they're just like in awe that their heroes are like talking ish, right? And then I guess Reggie tells a story about like he's there, like just behind somebody. And like, Magic, I'm sure, is like just joking around, but also half serious. But I think Reggie tells the story of like, no, he's serious. Like if MJ turned to him and like you go, like they will go right now and like Reggie might punch you or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Like that's how deep it runs with Reg. And I'm like, I don't know if that's healthy or anything like for your mentals. But at the same time, like, yo, man, like for people who, and I hate that, right? Like, we definitely talked about that, and you hear it all the time, like, from the pundits, like, oh, athletes don't care, and like, they don't take it as seriously as, we fans do or something like that. But to hear Reggie tell it is like, nah, they care. They just don't show it. They just, what's the value in showing it? But the value in showing it is like, oh man, like he took it serious. And if it's like, and like he still kind of holds that grudge to this day with MJ, I'm just like, I love it. I love that.
I love it. Yeah, man. It's like we all make fun of Jordan for the, I shouldn't say we make fun of him. We turned him into a meme for that, like, and I took that personal. I think a lot of those guys take that stuff personal, and that's what they use to fuel their careers. Like we make fun of Jordan for it, but I imagine there's a lot more players out there that have that same sort of perspective of like, yo, I took that personal. Like those guys don't have to, like guys like Reggie, they don't have to revere Jordan in the way that everybody that came after Jordan does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's almost like necessary for new guys to be like, yeah, Jordan's the man. Jordan did this. Jordan did that.
Yeah, exactly.
But the guys that played with him, they're like, fuck that guy.
Yeah,
I don't care. They are.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't care. I don't give a shit. Like, yeah, he can go at it now. Yeah, he won. He balled out. But like,
and that's the thing. He does give that respect
him any more or less. Yeah, he's like, I don't respect him anymore.
Like he gives his respect. He gives his respect to MJ being like the GOAT and all that stuff, right? But at the same time, as a competitor, he just wants another shot at him, and I love that. Yeah. And it makes me
Same.
wonder that, and it goes back to, people saying like this current generation, right? This current generation of athletes don't care. I wonder if they're just holding back because they're still in the league, they're still playing. They just don't want to, say things out of pocket or say something that will like paint them in a light. I wonder if like, decades, whatever from now, when it's time when it's their turn to be like on a show and talking with their teammates and talking about like disappointments and all that stuff. What if that, like somebody from there, they're gonna be like, yeah, man, I hate LeBron or I hate
Right.
KD. I mean,
Yeah,
Anthony Edwards kind
yeah.
of does that a little bit, but it's in a joking way, right? But what if there's like a legend, a great that we're not thinking about who, maybe doesn't win a championship, right? And I don't want to like, I'm not going to wish James Harden never wins a championship or something like that, right? But what if he's that kind of player who's like, years from now is like, just never really said anything too super, well, the China thing, but, beyond that. But like years from now, then he tells his story and he's like, yeah, man, I couldn't freaking stand Steph. Like,
Right.
everybody talks about him being like the greatest shooter of all time. And, I deserve multiple MVPs and all that,
Yeah.
I wonder if that's going to be the case years from now. So, it's just,
I
man,
think
these guys care. These guys
I absolutely,
care. Like,
I absolutely think so. I think there's guys that don't like each other that we just don't know about because, only reason we know about the Jordan stories is because, it's Jordan is such an engagement bait. Like, you know what I mean? Anything Jordan is engagement bait. Talking about the relationship between James Harden and Steph Curry, that's not, unless it's like super drama filled.
Yeah.
No one's gonna, it's not gonna get that kind of engagement. But I think after they retire, when they can really say what they want to say, I think that's when we'll start to see what's going on. Especially, with these athletes doing these podcasts now, like it changes the dynamic. Now they can have those stories in a safe space. And it's not just like, oh, a gotcha moment. It's like these are safe spaces for those kinds of conversations.
Right. So, and that's the thing is like these player podcasts, which I've been kind of critical of because, sometimes it can be like just fluff. Sometimes these athletes go on these podcasts and it's just more like, everything's, roses and everything's good. We just kind of just big up everything you do. But then sometimes the benefit of these is like these guys will open up to other athletes in a way that they would never open up to like a reporter or something like that, because there's like, there needs to be like this happy, medium, like where like these both can coexist and there's not like any friction, because there is friction right now because traditional media is kind of hating on the player-led podcast because they are too chummy and all that stuff at times. But then you've got like the new media, as Draymond likes to call it, right? But they do also offer something that, this traditional media can't offer. Like, yes, you will get the fluff, which is, you just have to be able to sort through it, which is tough at times, right? So you just have to be able to sort through it to find these gems, like this Reggie interview. I think this is a gem. And then, like I said, kind of have done the 180 on Reggie now. Like, oh, hey, good for you, man. Like, and I appreciate that. And also, like, the fact that he talks so highly of his sister, who's, Cheryl Miller, one of the greats of all time. It's like, oh, man, like, he accepts it. Like, I would imagine like somebody with an ego like Reggie's, you could see it break it the other way, right? Like, oh, your sister's so much better than you. Like, I could see him like take that really mean and everything, right? But nah, he's like, I accept it. She is one of the greats of all time.
I mean, she's
a hooper.
quite literally probably the best woman basketball player. like it's hard it's hard.
And
it's
Reggie,
hard.
And
No matter how big your ego is, you can't debate that. Like, that's undebatable.
But you could see like somebody being a jerk about it, right? You could see another athlete being a huge jerk about it and be like, nah, I'm better regardless of, man or woman, right? Like, and like especially during that era where it was very much like, oh, women can't play, that kind of stuff, right? Like Reggie came from that era, but now he accepted it from the jump, and I was like, yeah, no, I mean, just huge. I always respected Reggie, but now I'm like, now I'm a fan. Still don't like listening to him on the TV, but
That's
I
good.
am now a fan of it. And I do wish someday like him and MJ do see each other and it's on site. Kind of want to
no violence. No.
But it's definitely like like I want to see the tension. I want to see if it, like Reggie,
you want to see
if Reggie
feels and the gnarling of teeth.
yeah. Like the hold me back moments, right? The hold me back moments, right? Like, you need like, somebody like in between them or something like that, where they're just like, yeah, man, they ain't forgot. Yeah.
Not
so
at all.
definitely, yeah. All right, so moving on to our next topic, Jacques. The Nike A1 is dropping next week.
Yeah, I still haven't
And
had my hands on a pair yet.
oh, okay. So I was wondering if like you got a pair already, so I could like ask you like
No.
what you think about it and everything.
Yeah, I want to get a pair. I'm gonna see one of the local shop that I go to, see if they have some pairs.
Oh, okay,
Otherwise
okay,
I'll buy them on sneakers like everybody else.
right. But what's it called? It's dropping next week, and it's I think it's dropping at an interesting time because the WNBA season is about to kick off in a couple weeks,
Yeah, it's a great time.
and yeah, and it's a great time, and also that $110 price point is dropping at a great time because in light of
Yeah.
current economic situations, we did hear that Adidas is considering. They haven't actually announced that they are raising prices, but it seems like it's more likely than not that the prices of Adidas products will go up in the future, which of course kind of leads the door to like kind of gives Nike permission to do the same at some point. But for right now, I think the A1 is kind of positioned as a like, oh man, you need basketball shoes right now and you need a signature product. Here's a $110 sneaker by, the top player in the WNBA. So like everything's kind of lining up at the moment for her to be like this thing being a
Yeah.
huge success out the gate. And I'm happy for it. Like, it's a great looking sneaker. It's on the right athlete at the right time. So
Yep.
yeah, no, I
I
think
hope
it's
it
going to
does
be,
well.
yeah.
I really do hope it does well. I think there's an opportunity for a woman to enter the space and do some fantastic things, and I really feel like this is her moment. So I hope it all turns out that way.
Yeah. And do you think that this is going to be a situation where we need to see Asia even reach even greater heights? Because, she is already a champion. She's already an MVP. Like, do you feel like in order for this shoe to succeed, like the on-court has to match? Or do you feel like, because, it's interesting, right? Like, because, when it comes to like signature athletes, like, they're, the ones who have already won championships, who have already done well. But do you feel like Asia needs to do better in order for the shoe to like, be more, people be more aware of it? Or do you feel like, nah, we don't need Asia to like win championships in order for people to start caring about the shoe? Do you think it's more about like being more just exposed, like, WNBA players wearing it, NBA guys wearing it, like, it just needs to be out there for people to just be more aware of it?
Well, I mean, I think with any signature shoe athlete, you have to continue to perform at a high level. So I think she definitely has to continue that, because that's just part of the plan. Like that's part of the marketing. Like you balling out is like the best marketing that can happen for a shoe. I do want to see more people wearing it in the WNBA and in the NBA. I think
Yeah.
that would be a really good look for her, and that would help. Market the shoe a little bit, especially if we start getting a lot of NBA guys rocking it. I think that'd be a really cool moment. But I think as far as for her, she has to continue perform. I would say if she continues to perform at the level where she's performing now, then I think she's pretty locked in to have a good season. And I don't see her, I don't see that declining. So she's good in that regard.
And then one last thing. I just thought about this right now. I am kind of like, we are disappointed that the Lakers did not go deeper into playoffs. But now I'm kind of even more disappointed because now we don't get the possibility of LeBron wearing the A1 at some point during the playoffs because,
Yeah.
Asia has been known to wear, LeBron signature shoes, get PEs and all that stuff. I feel like there was an opportunity there for LeBron to return the favor this season. Well,
Yeah.
now we have to wait until the following season for LeBron to potentially wear like a special player exclusive version of the A1. So,
But I feel like we
another
can still
reason.
we can still
Oh.
see LeBron rock it just in general. You know what I mean? Just if he's out somewhere, people are still, the sneaker accounts are still following him wherever he goes. So just to see him rocking them, I think would be enough to kind of keep that energy going. So hopefully, like he does that and shows her love in that regard.
Right. Awesome. Right. So we are fast approaching the end of the show, Jacques. So that means only one thing. It is time for the return, yet again, another return, of everybody's favorite sneaker segment. It's Sneaker Mount Rushmore Plus time. Should we change it to like, the grenade thing for Jacques? I know we've done that joke a couple times, but should we change it?
Stop it. Leave Ja alone. Leave him alone.
I will say though, you probably haven't heard of this because it's just a thing that came out. Was it yesterday? But Panini, the guys who make who currently have the NBA trading card license, they recently released a super high end product called Flawless. And it's I believe it's like a couple $1,000s for like a box of cards, and there's like, you know, just a limited number of cards in the box. And it's, you know, basically the best players, and it's got like signatures of them and like, you know, pieces of game worn jersey on them. And the Ja Morant cards have been revealed, and I don't know if you know what Ja Morant's signature looks like. I think it's on the Ja one, right? It's like a J, and then like there's just a couple of scribbles, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for this product that it costs a couple of $1,000s, and you know, people are pumped to get like, you know, a Ja Morant signature shoe. Basically what he did, he just put the J on there. So basically it's just a straight J and then like a dot. He doesn't even put the Morant anymore. And people are like kind of freaking out because it's like, I paid this much for this, and then you know, I'm lucky enough to pull a Ja shoe and a Ja card, and then like his signature is just bleh, just this, it's like a straight line. Yeah. Just like, oh no, people are not happy on the trading card internets right now because they're kind of turning on Ja because, oh my goodness, it's just the laziest signature you've ever seen.
Just got to give it more effort than that. There's Arnold Palmer, I think, made this thing about. Made the big thing about signatures. So I would hope that you would hope other athletes would hear that and listen to that. But
yes,
unfortunately,
it was like something to the effect of like Arnold Palmer, like, you know, he has like one of the most famous signatures in all of sports. And I guess I don't know if he was asked or something like that, but he always wanted to leave that good impression of like, you know, leaving your mark and all that stuff and making sure like it's legible and everything. Yeah. And, you know, and that's why he was the people's champ for so long. Like, I think for a very long time there, he was even more beloved than Jack Nicklaus because he was such a man of the people. And part of that was, you know, when he would sign his signature, it was very legible and people could tell. Like, you didn't like, it wasn't like a very like vague like symbols or anything like that, or just a couple squiggles. You could read it, Arnold Palmer.
Yep.
So. Yep. Yeah, like, and that's very much the opposite of what Ja Morant did, which I guess
gave
would
him
be.
A J. That's funny.
Ja just gave him a J, like it's not even like J Morant anymore. Which it's a little bit funny, but I can understand if you are a collector or like whatever who spent thousands of dollars on a product hoping to get a Ja Morant. You know, you're not guaranteed a Ja Morant, but you know, if you're hoping like, oh, I'm a big Ja Morant, I'm a big Ja fan, I hope I get that. And to see that, and to see like, you know, products that are priced lower, like, you know, boxes that are priced lower, and then they have the full signature, but then to see like this super high end thing, like their top of the line product, and just to see Ja put like a small J on it, it's kind of funny.
That's whack.
But also I can see like I can understand disappointment. I can understand the disappointment because I'm not spending that money. I'm not spending that money.
Yeah, I can understand the disappointment from the collectors, especially if you spend all that money on something like that. Yeah, and you want you want effort. Obviously we have to see the other ones too. I don't know what the other signatures look like, but if you're just putting a J, that especially on something high end like that, you would think that they would provide a little bit more, but that's the world we're in today, Juan. That's the world we're in.
So anyways, let's go back to Sneaker Mount Rushmore Plus today.
Rushmore.
In honor of, well, it's not his birthday anymore, but in honor of Tinker Hatfield's birthday, also Travis Scott's birthday, we are doing the Tinker Hatfield Sneaker Mount Rushmore Plus. So today, what we are going to be doing is look up my notes right now. So we do 5 sneakers on Sneaker Mount Rushmore Plus. We typically do like one OG, non-OG, and all that stuff. But today, for our categories for Sneaker Mount Rushmore Plus, the Tinker Hatfield edition, it's going to be 1 Air Jordan, 1 Air Max, 1 trainer or runner, 1 tennis shoe, and then 1 special edition, which means he didn't necessarily have to design the shoe, but it could have been like a collab or something he had a hand in, or like a player exclusive or something like that. So okay. Not necessarily something he designed, but like something he made a special colorway of.
Okay. So Air Jordan 3, I think it's your turn.
Come on, man. I had to get that out. Because I know I went first, and I
Uh,
was like, you knew. I was like, damn.
yeah. So Air Jordan 3 is gonna be my first for the Jordan. That's and it's really just the black cement colorway. Like I like the other colorways, but if he only made black cement, I would be happy with those. So
Yeah.
gotta go there.
Yeah, I gotta go with that one. All right. So for my Air Jordan, it's going to be the Air Jordan 3, but because you picked that, I'm gonna go with the Air Jordan 11. Because
I thought you were gonna go with the
iconic.
4.
The 4 would have been there, but I kind of go if you're gonna go with my favorite Air Jordan, I kind of gotta go with like another one in the top 5. So I'm gonna go with the 11.
Gotcha.
Patent
That's a
leather,
good
all
one.
that good stuff. Yeah, man, it's legendary. Space Jam, all that good stuff. But yeah, no, Jordan 11s, and still bummed I didn't get to pick the freeze.
So I'll let you get the next Air Max. So we'll do like a snake draft.
Oh, Snake Draft. Okay, cool. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So for my pick for the Air Max, I'm going to go with the Air Max 90. Out of
Okay.
all of those like early Air Maxes, the 90 has always been the one that resonated for me just because it's so literally layered. I don't know what it is. There's just so
Yeah.
much on the overlays. There's just so much things going on there. And it's the only one that kind of fits nice to my feet. I don't know what it is. Like the Air Max 1 feels snug. The Air Max 95 is like a hit or miss in terms of like fit. The 97s are okay, but the 90s have always been just like, doesn't matter what pair it is, doesn't matter what, materials they use. I just put them on and I'm just like, I'm good to go. I'm good to go with the Air
Okay.
Max
Okay.
90s. So,
I think for me, it's going to be the Air Max 180. It's not the most popular choice, but
yes.
it is one of like my favorite. It's one of my favorite silhouettes to look at, I guess. Like I don't wear them very often. Honestly, I have like one pair, but I just really love the way that shoe looks. I just didn't think I don't think it fit my foot well. I just can't wear it well. But I like the way that shoe looks. It's super unique to me. And I think one of his more like striking designs when it comes to like the Air Max silhouette. And what
Right,
was the next
right.
one?
So the next
Trainer?
one is trainer slash runner. So, yeah.
Trainer. Oh, I know. I'll go the Hirachi trainer.
Ah, very good. Very good
The
choice.
Hirachi trainer.
Definitely
Yeah,
considered
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, the Hirachi trainer. It's a good one. Obviously just like the neoprene in liner, just like matte, super comfortable shoe. And then if you got the one with the strap across it, yeah, the Hirachi trainer is just that's the one for me.
Yeah. So for my trainer, I'm gonna go with something that may be unexpected. And actually, I wasn't 100% sure that he designed it, but I just looked it up right now just to confirm it. It's the Jordan Trunner. It was one of the
Oh, yeah,
first,
yeah.
when it was still brand Jordan in like 97, 98. It was one of those first shoes that came out that was not like a canonical Air Jordan, and it was a trainer. And I think there were people complaining about like the heels and everything, but for me, when I put them on, they're fine. And I just
Yeah.
like the design of them. I've always kind of hoped for like a proper retro of them. I think they've come back a couple of times, but nothing that really kind of, for me at least, replicates like the feel and like the vibe that I had when I first got like the very first Trunner. So I think I'm gonna go with the Jordan Trunner.
Yeah, that's a
And
good one.
then,
It's a Russ Bankston, one of Russ Bankston's favorites.
oh really, really? Shout out to Russ.
Yeah, he
Shout out to
likes he likes
Russ.
the Trunner. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Now, so for my pick for a tennis shoe, I was thinking about going with the Tech Challenge, but I think I'm gonna go with the Nike Zoom Vapor 9 Tour, which is the shoe that I think Roger Federer is most famous for rocking.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there was that special edition from like what is it, like 2010 or something that came out. It was like a black and gold pair, and I remember really being like a huge fan of those. And then there was that collaboration with like MJ, where they did like an Air Jordan 3 kind of inspired Zoom Vapor Tour 9 tour.
Mm-hmm.
I just
Yeah.
always liked the look of them. They were great tennis shoes. And funny enough, it was one of the first shoes I saw at like the Nike employee store
Mm.
in when one of those trips we went there like in Beaverton. And it was one of the first shoes that I picked up, and it was like, oh man, I forget what colorway it was. I think it was like a Wimbledon colorway. And yeah, no, it was just like, that's why it has like a great memory for me, because I think it was literally the first shoe that I bought, like I grabbed, and it's like, I'm gonna buy these at the Nike store in Beaverton. So at least it also has that kind of memory to me. So yeah, that's going to be my tennis shoe for Tinkers.
I like that. I was gonna go with the Tech Challenge too, but I think I'm gonna go with a Zoom Teleria. Just such a unique
Is that a tennis shoe?
sneaker. I think it was tennis. That wasn't tennis? It's not tennis?
I don't know. Could be.
I know it has the tennis ball theme, so I assumed it was a tennis shoe.
Yeah. Okay.
I assumed
we'll go with that. We'll go with that. We'll go with
that.
That is true.
All right, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe it's a runner. I thought it was a tennis.
It's tennis adjacent. We'll go with that.
Tennis adjacent. Yeah. So obviously a super unique shoe, super unique design, not something that you find everywhere. And the different like patches on the upper, or I guess I shouldn't say patches, but the different like sections on the upper made it feel super unique to me. And then obviously the tennis ball theme like kind of nailed it home. And then what was the last one?
The last one is a wild card, which is basically like any special edition. It could be like something he helped was collaborative on. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a Tinker design shoe. It could be, but it could just be like a sneaker that he like made a special colorway of. Like, I don't want to give an example because I don't want to just like say like, that could be your pick or something like that.
I think I'll go for a special. It's not a special edition, but I think it's like it's the most Tinkerist of shoes, I would say.
Right.
Is the Air Jordan 23.
23,
that feels like,
right.
That feels like the most Tinker shoe of Tinker shoes, if that makes sense. Right. You know what I mean? Like that's if there was like a culmination of like Tinker designs and design language and all the things that Tinker does, I feel like the Air Jordan 23 represents that.
Right. Cool. Yeah, that's a good one. So for my pick, I'm gonna go with actually something recent for a wild card. It's gonna be like the Ducks of a Feather, the Nike Dunk that he. So that's what I meant by that, is like, that kind of thing where it's like, it's not necessarily like a Tinker design, but it's something that he had a hand in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of those are like those Ducks of a Feather. Wasn't there like an Air Max 1 also and like a Dunk? But like, I think I like the Dunk out of all of them the most. It's based on, various designs from like the Oregon football team's uniforms. But, he, kind of like spearheaded that. Like, I guess he was part of like the, that program and everything. So, yeah, I'm gonna go with that one for my wild card special edition, the Ducks of a Feather Nike Dunk, which came out like, was it this year? Or was it like late last year or something like that?
I think it was last year. Yeah, but that's a good choice. It shows like the different design things that he's done like outside of sneakers. So that's a good one.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so cool. Yeah, so that is our Sneaker Mount Rushmore plus for Tinker Hatfield. Belated happy birthday to
the
GOAT designer. There's a lot of great names out there, but we got to say Tinker's probably influential,
the most influential,
impactful.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so definitely. Shout out to the legend and everything. So that is it for episode 35 of the Two Hard Two Pass podcast. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Leave the 5-star reviews on the Apple Podcasts, on the Spotify's, and all that good stuff.
All that.
If you have any questions, concerns, and all that, leave us an email. The email again is the Too Hard to Pass podcast at gmail.com. Again, that is Too Hard to Pass podcast at gmail.com. Again, that's the number 2.
The number two.
Not TOO, not TWO, the number dos. Dalawa if you're Filipino.
Yeah, obviously. With that being said,
are you secretly Filipino, Jacque? That would be.
I am on the low.
One of us.
With that being said, we appreciate you guys. Thank you for listening and or watching. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
All right, we out. Shout out to St. Edmund's Hall. This is from Oxford University, my niece's school.
The flex. Just couldn't end it. Had to flex. I got it.
Hey, people are gonna be wondering what's that Harry Potter hat he's wearing. All right, we out.